Hello. I know that I said 12:15, but I just got done with my second appointment of the day, and I'm gonna jump on here live just so I can get everything situated. I'm gonna get my mic connected, and then I'm gonna see a little sound check, and then just wait for people to connect. I know everyone's busy. Like I know Daniel. Let me know if y'all can hear me. And I'm gonna drive up in here and park. So please sound check, sound check. Let me know if you can hear me, please, 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 please. I'm parking so I don't get towed while we're doing the live. That would be funny. And yeah, then we'll get started with today's live. Today we have Angelica Weber with Nico Tati Designs. Yes. Oh, Gabby, what's up? Um, I'm gonna bring her up in just a second. Like I said, I haven't even talked to Casey or Daniel today, but I did get a message from Daniel saying that he was with the customer. So he's gonna jump in here later, maybe if he has time. And then Casey, I have no clue what's going on with Casey, but we're gonna invite. So basically, today we're gonna talk about designers. You know. Oh, there she is.
Hi.
Hola.
Hola.
Hold on, let me situate my camera. Um, gotta gotta improvise here. There we go, I think. Oh, now I got a duck. Hello.
I know.
All right. So let me. So if you guys are, before we start, if you guys are doing estimating and you don't have an iPad Pro, or I don't know if you can do this on iPad, regular iPad, with the Freeform app, shout out to Heavy Tile. But basically, this is the way I'm doing my estimates right now. So I take pictures of the areas, and you can draw on top of the pictures, dimensions, notes. And then when I get home, then I'm not wondering about details that I missed at the job site because I could probably just look back at the picture and figure it out. And then also, I can do cool little designs like this. So this is today's little diagram. Designers, love or hate. Um, and we have Angelica from Dallas here today. What's up, Angelica?
Hola. Hi.
Oh, and she also speaks Spanish. So we're gonna do. Oh, you know what we should do? We should do a TikTok live one day
Yeah,
for my.
let's do it.
If they don't ban it. Um,
Yeah, we need to do it before they ban it.
yeah. So basically, oh, there's JC Custom Tile, Gabby Tiles. So people are coming on the live. Welcome. Today we're gonna talk about designers. You can put your questions in the comment section, and we'll just circle around to them at whenever. But basically, designers, right? Anytime I feel like any installer, when they hear the word designer, they get a little scared. Um, and I'm saying that for most of the installers because it's like designer, automatically they start thinking, oh shit, herringbone and ansax and like all these like difficult things to do and difficult designs and stuff like that. So, but today we have a different kind of designer, which is Angelica. And so tell us a little bit about you. How many years do you have experience, and what is it that you do?
So I'm Angie Angelica. I live in Dallas. I own Nico Tati Designs. I've been in the industry for about 8 years. And it's all been here in the Dallas area, and it's just been really awesome. Construction is hard, tile is hard, but it's just been an awesome, fun roller coaster.
Nice. It's just tile, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's all I care about.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you got into the construction business and maybe what you were doing before. Like, what was the transition from what kind of job to construction?
Yeah, so I was actually was born and raised in El Paso, Texas, and then moved to California, had a baby, moved back to Dallas. So when I moved here, I was a new mom with a baby, and I needed a job, and I just answered a job. I think it was like on like ZipRecruiter or like Indeed or something, and it was just for a receptionist at a remodeling company, and that's where I ended up learning everything that I had learned before. When I was living in California, I was doing marketing for the wine and spirits and beer industry, so that's where my marketing experience comes from.
Okay.
So
Did you
when
go to
I
school for marketing?
the what?
Did you go to school for marketing?
No, I've taken a couple classes since then, but marketing wasn't, what I intended to do. It's just kind of something that fell in my lap. So, when I got a job here in Dallas, within the construction industry, it was at Details Tile,
With
here
Jeff?
in the
Yeah.
Dallas area with Jeff Curran. Um, so that was kind of like my intro, and it was just supposed to be a answer the phones, help customers, be the backup, and then before you know it, it was managing projects and writing estimates, going to estimates,
Wow.
measuring, ordering, doing all of the things. I mean, if anyone watching knows Jeff Curran, you know that he is the let me throw you into the pool and that's how you're going to learn to swim, and I'll just watch you. And I'm not that type of person. I'm like, swim with me, teach me, show me. So it was, but how do you teach someone to be those things? It's impossible. So it just kind of evolved from there, and now I'm doing my own thing.
Okay. So it went from being nothing but a receptionist, and then it just escalated little by little, all the way until you were running jobs, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, so I guess you could say that you learned on the field, right? Like you weren't really taught anything. You were just like, oh, this problem came up. How do I solve it? Let's solve it. Now I learned that it won't happen again, and then over and over and over again.
Yeah, over and over again. I mean, I always say that I'm a designer that was raised by installers, because everything that I learned was functionality first, right? So installation process first, material information first. Um, it had measurements first. All of it evolved around, or revolved around the installation process and the installers and the electrician and the plumber and the framer and the la la la. So it just all kind of, that was really what I learned first, and not so much of the pretty stuff. The pretty stuff came in later.
Okay, so at one point, you could say that you started giving orders to the installers, right? Like once you started gaining this power within the company, right? Because at some point, I feel like you were probably looked down, like, oh, who are you? Like you're just the receptionist, right? But at what point could you say that it was like that transition point where it's like, okay, now I show up to the job site and I tell people what to do? Or was that just like out of the blue?
You know, I think it depends on who you ask. People always say that I have a very bossy demeanor. And I think that, I mean, even the first time that you and I met and talked, it's always been so I think that I just have that natural leadership personality, but I don't necessarily consider myself the lead of the project. I think with installers, it's always a partnership, and if we don't look at it that way, then there's always gonna be that rough relationship there. But I think once I was able to speak the language, and not Spanish language, but speak the industry language, so be able to keep up on what things are called and be able to keep up on installation process and be like, hey, you're not, are we going to do a water test? Are we going to do this? What do you mean you're not going to cover those Schluter screws? You have to, like once I started um, really being involved in the installation process and learning it. So like going to Schluter classes, going to Ardex classes, doing all of those things. Um, I think that was kind of like the turning point where the installers around me started to realize, oh shit, she's learning, she knows her stuff. She's here to help. She's not here to be
Yeah.
a bossy designer.
Do you think it was hard for Jeff's installers to take orders from Jeff and then transition into taking orders from you, especially because you're a girl and not only, you know what I mean? Like, so today they're taking orders from Jeff, who is the owner of the company. He's a guy, he knows pretty much everything. And then all of a sudden, maybe the next project, you're receiving orders from this lady who you used to see as the receptionist, and now she's telling you what to do. You think it was hard for the installers to
I
understand that?
think I think so. The installation community here in Dallas is predominantly Hispanic. So I think that the culture, it's really hard to accept orders and accept direction from another female Hispanic, and that's hard. But I have to tell you, when I worked with Jeff was always like, don't call me, talk to Angie,
Okay.
and all of Jeff's, even now, Jeff is the only guy besides his installers. So everyone that runs Jeff's company, everyone from the girl who writes the checks, the one who's ordering, the measurers, the everything. I mean, it's all
Yeah.
girls. So it's kind of a given. If you are going to work, if you're an installer for Details Tile, a girl is your boss, and Jeff is just going to be like, whatever Trisha said, that's what needs to be done. Whatever Angie said, that's what needs to be
Right.
done. So it's really important, if you're going to have women in your company, especially as project managers or project coordinators, that you yourself understand that you need to be her ally. You need to be her backup. You can't be,
Right.
mommy daddy games.
So that confirmation from the top down, meaning Jeff telling his guys like, hey, whatever she says goes. I think that goes a very long way, right? Because now the guys are like, even if they don't like it, they're just like, okay, well, if I don't listen to this chick, lady, however they see you, then they're not going to respect you and they're not going to do what you're asking. So
No,
that's really cool on Jeff's part, because you always need that confirmation from somebody else. Unfortunately, not that you're trying to act like the victim, but being a woman and being Hispanic in a predominantly man, industry like it is construction in general, it's kind of, you start losing, like you start the game losing, like you're already 1-0 if it was a soccer game.
right.
No, you're 2-0 because I'm 1-0 because I'm Hispanic. You're 2-0 because you're a woman and you're
And
Hispanic.
Hispanic.
So you have, are you lesbian by chance? Because
No.
you're losing 3-0. Then we can have the combo. Are you bi?
I'll
You could be any of, you could be any of the
maybe next
letters.
year.
Queer. No, but that's pretty cool from Jeff though, because that gives you, when you have that, confirmation from the top, then you have the confidence, and then the guy, like I said, even if he doesn't like it, he has to listen to you, and then you're learning from the guy installing. You're learning the right way too, because you mentioned classes, you mentioned seminars. So when you're bringing that information from the classroom, from the hands-on trainings, or that product is not going to work, because most Hispanics that I know, they're stuck with like one product they've been using forever, and then you try to introduce a new product and just like, nah, esa chingadera no sirve. It's like, how do you even know? Like, give it a chance. I just took a freaking 2-day class training on this, and I know for a fact that it's gonna work. So that communication, I guess, I have it here. Communication, designer, installer. It's key for a project to go the right direction, right?
Yeah, I mean, from the very beginning, if we don't have those set expectations and if we're not, you know, if we're not doing, if we're not setting those good boundaries and good expectations at the beginning, then the entire project is going to be a disaster. And part of, the whole like educational thing is I've been a Schluter girl for most of my construction career. Until recently, I started working with some installers that were like, you know what, we're moving from Orange and we're going to do Ardex. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything about Ardex. So I took a class. I went and I signed up for a 2-day class, and I learned so much from Frank and Daniel, and of course Joe Fowler.
Shout out to
And
Joe.
I was able to, yeah, I was able to ask questions, and it was a different learning experience. And I was able to come back with a lot of information because I don't want I need to make sure that we are giving the client the absolute best product possible. And if the installer think I'm not an installer, I don't pretend to be an installer. Don't ask me to do anything because I'm afraid of a wet saw because I'm going to cut my finger off. I don't, I'm not, don't ask me to install, but I will go through the installation process with you and I will learn, and I want to be there. I want to watch. I want to be able to ask questions and learn so that in the future, if there is an issue, if I'm not working with my preferred installer and I'm working with someone else, then I'm able to hold then I'm able to say, hey, can we talk about this? Hey, why aren't we doing a water test? Or why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Um, we have to be able to have those kinds of communications.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially it's key that you have a good installer, because like it wouldn't matter that you have all this knowledge if the installer at the job site isn't knowledgeable on any of this except Redguard and Hardybacker, right? And
Right.
not to bash a certain product, but there are just way better products nowadays that you can deliver a better installation, and just be better in general. So also another thing is having the right communication with the person on the job site who is maybe the leader, even if he's not installing, but he is the guy who, because a lot of times, like, you'll call the leader and the leader is out doing estimates, and then he forgets to call his installer, and then all this information you just poured on this guy never got transferred to the job site. So then you show up to the job site and it's like, wait, I told your boss that we were doing this, this, and this. Oh, I never got the call. And then, oh, I'm sorry. So there needs to be a high level of not just communication, but also an order of transfer communication to the guy who's actually installing. So, if you don't have that, it's kind of pointless that you have all this knowledge if it's not going to get transferred to the guy who's actually hands on, right?
Right. And that's when I manage jobs, when I project manage jobs, I'm there on the first day and last day of all of the trades. So it doesn't matter if it's the plumber, the electrician, the framer, the tile guy, whoever it is, I'm going to be there the first day because it's going to be easier for me to take an hour out of my day or 2 hours to explain it to this person to person, than to be like, send me a picture, or here's a picture, or here's this, or here's that. It's easier for me to be there and be able to explain it, show them the designs. That's something that I always do. I always put, designs and measurements on the wall. So even though I told him on day one that the niche is going to go up, 48 inches, and then by the time that he actually gets around to doing it, he forgot. Guess what? He can look on the wall and it's right there,
Yeah.
48 inches, whatever. So it's a matter of making things easier for you and for me. I know for the installer and for the designer, I know a lot of designers are like, well, I already told you, or look at the pictures, or look at the email, or la, 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 and it's,
Yeah.
why do you want to go through that hostile conversation every time? Just make it easier for everyone. If I have to do an extra 2 hours of work before the project even starts to print everything out, then I'm going to do that because it's going to save everyone so much time. And I think that installers like to have that. My experience has been that installers like to have, the information on site so that they don't have to call me or text me or whatever.
Yeah. So, when you bid a job or when you get hired to do a job, do you do you only provide the designing portion of it, or do you also bring in your own installer and include it as a umbrella of everything?
So it depends on the client. My client can be the homeowner or my client can be the contractor. So if the homeowner just wants my designs, perfect. I designed it and I'm just selling her everything and I'm walking away.
Okay.
Or sometimes the homeowner will say, well, you've designed all of it, can you manage all of it? And then from there, that's where the partnership between me and the contractor or installer comes into play. And so it's just kind of different. Sometimes there are contractors out there that will hire me just to manage a project. So it just kind of depends on who it is.
Okay.
I think that I've made a good reputation of how I work and my communication style. So yeah.
But you do have installers that are trustworthy that you can pull in. For example, the homeowner is like, hey, I want you to design this, and I want you to have your guys do it. Do you have that, like a group of people? Do you have that one guy? How many people do you think you have available to do a job?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have maybe 2 or 3 general contractors that I like to use regularly.
Hmm.
And then I have a lot of tile installers. I run the Texas Tile Posse page, so I have a lot of really good guys um, available.
Hmm.
There are certain guys that are more, their skill is more honed in certain things.
Okay.
So, like the large panels, those big, expensive, gigantic porcelains, I know exactly who to call um, to do that. I'm not going to call someone who doesn't have the equipment and doesn't have the experience.
Yeah. Okay. So I was gonna. Next question was like, how do you find your installers? If you didn't have Tile Posse, which is a really good tool, because you pretty much have. I feel like anybody that has the balls to post their work on either Facebook group or Instagram or whatever, they're somewhat good enough, right? Like, you can't really just say, oh, just because you're posting your work online, you're good. But there has to be that level of confidence that you're like, okay, well, this is good enough for me to post on social media. But if you didn't have Tile Posse, how would you find your installers?
Um, you know, Jeff and Details Tile is one of my preferred vendors. I actually have a project with them currently, so that we're working on, and we're doing some cool stuff in a local showroom. I've worked with them before on small projects to larger kitchen remodels. So from there, obviously they're one of my preferred contractors, but in going to the Schluter events, Ardex events, of course, attending trade shows, you meet people. So even if it wasn't for the Texas Tile Posse, I
Mm-hmm.
would still have really great people that I know and would be able to turn to. Timothy Studeman is another great person, another one of my preferred installers. And I met him at a Schluter class, and we've taken Schluter classes together even after that. And, my mom, he calls my mom. That's how close we are. Like, it's ridiculous how, his family and my family, how
So
much
you
we've
basically, to
come in
other
together.
designers that are maybe new, or maybe not even new, other designers who want to up their game, I feel like you're suggesting, one, network with tile people. And how do you network with tile people? Go to these classes, right? Even if, like you said, you're not going to learn how to install tile yourself, but You're going to learn the right way. You're going to learn what it looks like when it's done the right way. And then also you're going to meet people that know how to do it the right way, or that they're on their way to knowing because they're showing the interest on taking these classes, right? So network,
Yeah.
network, network. Because I feel like most of the time designers, like they feel like they're like above everyone else. You know, they walk on this cloud and oh my god, you know, they look at the installers like, you know, side eye, and you know, it's like, dude, we're a team. You know,
Yeah.
like I just walked the job right now. It's in framing stage. They send me the plans and they're like, give me a bid. And I was like, I'm not giving you a bid based on some paper plans. I want to meet you at the job site with the designer. We're going to go through every bathroom and you're going to tell me exactly what you want. And then I'm going to give you a bid, right? So I show up and then the designer's walking. She's really nice. And then at the end, she's like, you know, and my office is like 10 minutes from here. Don't worry about it. If you have questions, whatever. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm actually really annoying when a job starts, because when I show up, I start looking for the trouble areas and I try to prevent problems that are going to keep me from keep going. So if I find that some pipes are not in the right place, or a drain is not in the right place, or a wall is all messed up, I immediately pick up my phone and I call either the GC, the builder, the designer, whoever, you know, whoever can fix it. And I'm like, dude, like this is wrong. I need it fixed by tomorrow, by next week, because when I get to this area, I don't want to have to, you know, oh, we can't do anything because the plumber hasn't come. Because the, you know, like most of the time on new construction, they'll leave just like rough openings for plumbing, hoses, like, you know, PEX pipes just sticking out of the
Right.
walls. And then if you show up and just tile around that, I mean, yeah, I guess you could go back and say, oh, well, the pipe was there. I just tiled around that. But as a tile guy, you have the responsibility to say, okay, well, these pipes are coming out of the wall. What are these for? Are they going to fill the tub? Okay, well, they're at the wrong height, because now the tub is going to be 30 inches and these pipes are coming out at 12 inches from the ground. So do they either go on the ground or do they go up higher? And you need to bring that up to the attention of whoever can fix it, right? We can't just excuse ourselves and be like, "Whoa, the pipe was there," you know, because that's part of your, you know, like your job description as an installer. You're supposed to make everything work, and like you said earlier, we're a team, right? You're only as good as your team. You know, if the tile guy
Mm-hmm.
and the plumber and the trim guy hate each other, most of the time shit is they're gonna go wrong. You know, like one of them is gonna do something to make the other one mad, and then that's not gonna really work the right way. Uh, let's take a couple questions from the comments. One of them was from Rocksteady. He said, "What are your thoughts on Salish?
I don't know what that is.
Salish tiles, those really irregular Moroccan tiles."
Oh, they're beautiful, but I mean, they're beautiful, but I also know that it's going to be expensive to install. I also know that we're going to have to order more than your standard 15% waste. I know that we're not going to be able to use a Schluter trim on that because that's going to look disgusting with an inch or a whatever, um, trim piece. So what are we going to do? I'm going to find an installer that can do a beautiful miter cut on those, and work that way. I'm not, you know, the client can tell me what they want to have installed, and I'm going to tell them, yes, it's a possibility. Yes, I can do it. We can do it. And it's going to cost you, $18,000, and if that's what you want, then that's what we're going to do. And, part of what I always like to do is before I even submit my designs, before I submit my designs and pricing to a client, I always go to my installer first. So if I'm installing that tile, then I go to, Oscar or whoever is installing, and I say, hey, this is what we're installing. Here's the pattern. Here's the this. Here's the that. What are your thoughts? And if my installer has any type of,
Concern.
what, it's going to be extra. I don't have the tools. I don't have this. I don't have that. Then we're just going to be like, okay, how can we work around it? What can we do in order to make this installation possible?
And how
And
much
if it's
more it's
just
going
not,
to be. Yeah.
yeah, and then I turn around and I tell the client, okay, here are what we're gonna do. Why are my grout joints not in a straight line? Well, because that tile isn't a rectified tile. You know, it's a handmade tile. It's this, it's that, it's whatever. And it's shocking to know how many, you know, clients have that expectation. That's part of it, right? If you use that type of tile, it's not going to be a straight line. It's just
Yeah.
not. So when we talk about it at the discovery call or when we talk about it in their home, I'm going to tell them right off the bat, hey, this tile is going to have wonky grout joints. It's not going to be perfect. They're not going to be teeny tiny. They're not going to do this. They're not going to do that. Like, this is what it's going to look like. And I'll be able to look up pictures, you know, from like Omar, you know,
Yeah.
show them his work or show them my installer's work and say, this is realistic, what a realistic picture or video of what this tile looks
Right.
like.
Pretty much, this is what we can make it look like, but in order to that, to make that happen, this is how much it's going to cost you. Yeah. Because unfortunately, a bunch of times, and I know I'm not the only one, but unfortunately, when there's designers involved and you get to the job site and they have this like unrealistic thought of the job site, and then you're like, oh well, this is not going to work, now I'm going to have to miter the tile. Okay, and they're like, okay, yeah, go ahead and miter it, and you're like, well, but it's going to be this much more. Oh, no, 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 that should have been included in your bid. It's like, how is it going to be included when now you're putting like all these hours of extra work into my schedule, and you don't want me
Right.
to charge you, right? So I see that a lot in they expect you to just throw in all the extra work just to make their vision come to life. And it's like, I always tell people, like, I can pretty much tile anything you want me to, but different scenarios are going to take different time and different money. So, it's up to you. Like, right on this job that I just walked, we go upstairs, and then she's like, so this bathroom is 3 by 12, ceramic, and blah blah blah. And there's a niche wall to wall. There's a window, and then there's a big door opening. And I'm like, so what are we doing about the edges? Because 90% of designers hate Schluter trim. And she was like, "Oh yeah, we're not doing Schluter." And I'm like, "So what are we doing?" I would like, "Do we know the edge of the tile? Like, does it look good?" "Yeah, why don't you just like run it like this?" And like, oh, I'm like, "I can miter it. It's just gonna be extra money." So also as an installer, you're gonna find that sometimes designers are not really immersed into the tile installation process. So you have to bring it up to their attention and educate them, right? And like right now I just did. So at the end, they chose to do miters, right? But at the same time they chose to do miters, they know, and the GC was right next to me. I'm like, so that's gonna be more money for you because now I'm gonna spend all this time doing all these miters, right? So everybody's on the same page, and then there's no complaints at the end when I'm just like done with the job site and I turn in this bill for an extra $1,000, and they're like, whoa, 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 what is this extra money for? And then you try to like kind of like backtrack and remember when we walked it, and at that point they could choose not to pay you because they're like, well, you never brought this up to my attention and I never was aware. How am I going to tell my customer that now we owe you an extra $1,000, right? And it could be 1,000, it could be five, it could be 10, but anything as an installer, when you're dealing with the designer and she's not as knowledgeable as Angelica, it's your responsibility to make sure that they know what's going on and that they're not just asking, because there's a reality versus like Pinterest magazine, Instagram thing, right? So they get inspiration from all these websites and they want to bring it to their client's vision, right? To their client's house. But is it possible? Like, are you actually able to do that in this client's home? Like we were talking about, like, oh, let's do a wall to wall niche on this back wall. Oh yeah, we'll do it. But is it a load bearing wall? Can you do it? Do you maybe have to add an extra fake wall in front of it so you can actually do the wall to wall niche? Or
Right.
does your installer even know what to do in order to accomplish a wall to wall niche? So there's all these variables that have to be considered prior, and then you have to be on the same page, in sync with the designer, with the homeowner, right? And I guess you're kind of a dream for an installer, right? Because you know what you're doing, you're selling the job, If the
I'm a,
client
I'm
asks,
a dream in more ways than one. I can be your nightmare, or I could be your perfect dream. You
it,
know, if
it
somebody,
depends on the
yeah,
installer, right? Because, like, for example, on me, so a client that's really picky, sometimes it's a good thing because they tell you exactly what they want, and they're a little bit more knowledgeable than that client that just says, "Oh yeah, however you want," and then at the end they come back and they're like, "Oh, I wish I would have chose a different," you know. And it's like, well, I gave you the option and you just said whatever, you know what I mean? So being picky and being knowledgeable actually isn't a bad thing because, like, I did a job where there was not just a designer but there was also an architect involved. And before we started each bathroom we had like a 3 hour meeting. They wanted me to tell them what size cut was going to be under the window, above the window, on the ceiling, on the floor, around the drain. And we would actually lay everything out in the room and measure, measure, measure. So by the time the meeting was done, pretty much my layout was done, and
hmm
I had like pretty much foolproof way of tiling this bathroom. And if they came back, which they did, and we redid this master like 3 times, um, they came back and, hey, this doesn't look good here. Okay, we'll demo it, but that's extra money because this is based on your original design. Now you're taking time of my schedule and you gotta, and they were totally cool with it. But like I said, going back to that, it's they're really picky. They know what they want. They want to know the same exact cuts on, above and top the window. They want full pieces on the niches, blah 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 blah. But at least you as an installer, you know what they're looking for, and then you do exactly as they want. And then if they don't like it at the end, it's on them. You know what I mean?
right. And part of it, is like with material. If your designer doesn't know her material and any knowledge of her material, it's going to be very difficult to be successful in those intricate cuts. Anyone who's worked with a 24 by 24 tile knows that it's not 24 by 24, it's 23 and 3/4 or 23 and whatever. You know what I mean? None of the tile is the size that it says. So until you have that tile in your hand and are able to actually lay it out and template it out, then at that point you're really able to discuss what the layout is. And I know that was one of the questions on here was, something about it's not always how it is on paper. What I design and what I render and what I put in 3D isn't always what's going to be what's installed as far as like grout joints and cuts and things like
Yeah.
that. And that's 100% true because we don't have the material until we have the material. We don't have the availability to knock down all of these walls and then make the stuff that we need and then do, but again, we go back to communication at the beginning of the project, and we go back to setting that clear expectation of, hey, I know that I drew out these grout joints like this so that the grout joints on the niche look seamless. But please be aware that once we have the tile and we template it, and we template your shower, or we template the niche, or we template the backsplash, this will vary.
Yeah.
There is going to be, it's not going to look worse, but it might just look different than what I'm presenting to you.
Yeah, there's
And
got to
it's
be flexibility
right.
because, especially if you're working off a new construction off of a plan, right? The dimensions from the plan to the actual job site could vary up to 1, 2, 3, 5 inches, and even 1 inch. When you're talking about tile layout, it's very important, right?
It's huge.
It's
Yeah.
huge. So one time in a job site, this lady designer, she wanted me to center the tile with like the toilet, and then she also wanted that same layout to center with the tub. And then when we laid it out, it's like we can either do one or the other because your dimension. She's like, no, but these are this many feet apart, and the tile is 2 foot by 2 foot. And I'm like, well, kind of. I mean, they're 23 and a half in 5 pieces. You're eating up 2.5 inches, which is making you not center with one or the other. So, if you're flexible and you communicate that to your client, it's cool. But if you're one of the designers that are like, no, it needs to look just like I drew it up, then there's going to be issues because it's most likely not going to work out the same way.
Right. And one of the comments on here, I think it was from Zion 330, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He said something very specific that caught my eye, and he said, oftentimes the decorators we work with don't know the small details that the job requires. I am not a decorator. I can't. I'm not a decorator.
Who said that? I'm gonna block him right now. Oh, you froze. You were so mad that you froze. Guys, why are you guys making Angelica so mad? Not you froze. But no, what she's trying to say is that I'm thinking decorator is whoever helps you pick like a paint color, your furniture, things like that. And she actually comes up with the design for your tile shower along with the tub surround and things like that. Uh, Bennett Flooring, just tell them you have to make large grout joints to compensate. Yeah, exactly. Oh no, and they always want less than a 16th grout joints on everything. My wife is a decorator. All right, so Bennett, what's the difference between decorator and designer? While we try to get back um, Angelica over here. She was too mad. She had to take a little break. Detail styles here. Jeff, what's up, Jeff? Oh, there you are.
Sorry.
So, what's the difference between a decorator and a designer?
So a decorator is that person that is coming in and decorating your home. They are selecting color patterns, they're selecting fabric, they're selecting furniture, they're selecting cortinas, curtains, window treatments. They are selecting your finishes, not your actual things that go on in your home. So when
Like
I
cabinets, flooring,
Right.
countertops, things like that.
Right. And so when it comes to an interior designer, part of the courses that you have to take to become an interior designer are architectural courses. So in these architectural courses, we talk about plumbing, we talked about electrical, we talk about framing. So we're able to find out if a wall is a load-bearing wall. We learn how to ceiling joist, floor joist. When I've gone to estimates, and if Jeff is still in here, he'll tell you, I'll get in a crawl space and tell you which direction the floor joists are going, or I'll get in an attic and I'll tell you that because I know what I'm looking for. That's an interior designer.
A decorator
Where
won't do that.
no,
They just know the color palettes and the pretty furniture, the rug, the curtains, things like that. Okay,
right?
so I hope that's clear for you guys because Angelica really gets mad when you call her a decorator.
I don't, or a secretary. I'm like, who are you calling this? Ask Jeff what happened to the last guy who called me a secretary.
He got deported.
Shit.
Hey, what's one common mistake you find among installers? Like something that you're always like, dude, this is a new installer on my job site. I better get there before he does this because they're always doing this. Like, what's one common thing that you're like, if I don't correct this before they start working for me, I'm sure they're gonna be like, messing something up.
Um, I think that the biggest factor is the material is on site and the installer gets there and they're just like a lo loco. They just start installing and not looking at if there's shade variation or
Mm-hmm.
the thing is if there's enough tile, you know. So or if there's enough material, whatever the material is. We are not perfect. I'm not perfect. Um, but mistakes happen. So I always try to be there before the installer gets there, and then I kind of have a checklist of what we need to do. And it's usually not the installation day, it's usually like the day before,
Mm-hmm.
like when the plumber is still there, and I'll go through all of the boxes, make sure that everything is on site, that nothing is broken, that we're not using chip tiles, because unfortunately, installers are in a hurry to get through one job so that they can get to the next job. That's just the facts of the industry. So if I can kind of mitigate that issue and make sure that we are, have everything we need and that we have enough of what we need, then I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to, run to the store and pick up material. I don't, I've
You
unloaded pallets of tile and heels before. Like, I'm not
you don't
afraid.
mind getting a little dust on you?
No, just don't mess up my nails. That's all I ask.
So I guess one of the huge advantages that you have, and that I guess every installer would love on every designer, is the fact that you can run a job. Meaning, like, you can almost act as a GC, right? You know the process, you know what needs to happen first and after, you know which processes you can actually flip flop if needed. Because what I see amongst every designer, like, you're looking at a job site and you're like, well, this is a piece of furniture, vanity, it needs to go after the floor, and then they just stare at you blank like, oh crap, I never thought about that. Just little things like that, that when you don't take into consideration, could cost the client more money,
Right,
could cost everyone more money, could cost more materials. For example, if it's a furniture piece, but when you did your takeoff, you only measured assuming there was going to be a toe kick, now you're off so many square feet, right, that go under that
right.
piece of furniture, vanity. So things like that, you have a huge advantage over other designers, because you know the process, you know who needs to come in first in order for that next person to come in after. And oh, there's Daniel. Finally, Daniel, you decide to show up. Do you think there's a difference between a residential installer to a commercial tile guy?
Huge,
If you say, huge. Why?
huge. Because, and this isn't my commercial installers. I love you. I respect you. Please don't hate me.
But you
But
suck.
commercial installers are in a bigger hurry than they are with residential. And a lot of times the money in commercial just isn't there, So the money that you're going to get for installing 500 square feet at, freaking Taco Bell is not going to be the same money that you would get installing a shower. You know what I mean? Like
Or
the
500 square feet of herringbone, 30,
yeah,
you know.
the money is different, the details are different. Who wants to get paid, minimal amount for the same amount of work? Daniel.
Ew.
What's up?
Ew, look what just popped up. What's up, Daniel?
What's going on? I can't see you anymore.
Me?
Yeah, I can hear
I
you,
can see you.
but I can't see. Okay. Hey, what I was saying is there is a difference. As a as a residential installer, you take more pride, more quality. You're more knowledgeable with your products. You know what thin sets go with different tiles, so you don't get any bleed through or rust spots or weird discolorations, compared to just a commercial tile guy that's just slap it on, slap it on, slap it on. Right?
Yeah.
What's your thinking?
You would love to slap it on, don't you?
No.
Um, so definitely your education, Angelica, makes you better, and that's a big thumbs up for Angelica. Look,
Oh my God.
shut up. So, proper methods on the field. You know the proper methods, but would you say, percentage wise, would you say that from the installers you've met on the field, without them being from Posse, are they doing proper installation methods, or are
No,
they skipping shit?
no, no.
No, they're not.
They're definitely skipping methods and skipping because again, a lot of these guys have a commercial background. So it's about doing the most in the least amount of time, So the guys that are using Red Guard, that's fine. Use Red
Red guard.
Guard. If you want to use Red Guard, use Red Guard. Can we use it properly though? That's the biggest thing. And even the even the minimal, right? Even the minimum with Red Guard, they're not even doing no one's reading the instructions. No one's measuring, no one's making sure that there's enough coats on it. With freaking mastic, you would have put mastic in a shower. Did you even read the freaking bucket?
What if it's
Like
pre-mixed thinset? Can you put that in the shower?
with mastic?
No, with a pre-mixed thinset.
Oh, pre-mixed thin set, like a wet thin set?
It comes in a 3.5 gallon. It says pre-mixed thin set. It's a quiz. Would you put that in the shower
I
or
don't
no?
No, I don't know because I don't know what that is.
Okay, good answer. No, the answer is no. It's basically just grainy mastic that custom products came up with, like some little grainy bullshit that they call pre-mixed mastic. I mean pre-mixed thin set, but it's basically just
It's
mastic and it sucks.
mastic. That's gross.
Um,
Yeah.
Well,
so
and that's what's fun, right? So like when you attend these classes that are they're like Dal Tile puts them on, Portnoy puts them on, and Saks. A lot of these big tile people have free classes for installers and designers to attend. And what happens when you attend those classes get really good educational information. So like mastic is organic matter, right? And what happens when you have an organic matter? It likes to grow. So if you feed it water and you feed it soap and you feed it skin cells and you feed it bacteria, you're gonna get a mushroom in 3 freaking months.
did
You
you hear that, Daniel? Because I see you using mastic.
I used it once, but nobody knew about it.
I saw it.
know?
I have a screenshot.
Oh yeah.
Hey, shout out to Ruby Tools right here. They're doing training for slabs. The Bandit Flooring says, yeah, it's just mastic, quality over quantity. Yeah, for sure. On residential, well, I guess, because like last week we were talking about, even on residential, there's production homes where there's also not a single bit of details. Like there's just, I mean, I even
No.
see 12 by 24s used as backsplash. You know how gross that looks? Like I would feel ashamed of myself. I'll probably cut myself if I had to do that in a house. Um, so you guys, we're close to the hour here. Daniel got here a little late, but I'm gonna ask him if he has anything to add, and then we're gonna jump
No,
into something else.
no. I think you guys pretty much summed it all up. I was with a customer and trying to install some flooring, and it just
With
time got
mastic.
away. Yeah, with
Cool.
mastic, with mastic. But anyways, yeah. I mean, you guys pretty much hit it on the head.
Hey, Texas Power again today.
Say what?
Texas Power today again. Only Texas people today.
Mine doesn't do it.
Same as last
That's
week.
right.
You're not cool like me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, all right. Well, I'm gonna go grab some lunch. I will let you guys finish up, and we'll holler at you guys
All right,
later.
Daniel, we love you.
Bye, bud.
Bye.
And I love being your tile coach. Oh no, that's not my line. Shout out
You're
to
so
tile
gay.
coach. So
Hey,
everyone
it's only
who's
gay.
here,
It's only gay if you like it. It's only
yeah,
gay
yeah.
if you like it.
No, I've been doing it for 7 years. I still don't like it.
Oh my.
All right, later.
All right, later. So everyone here, who's still here, we got 16 people. Angelica is not only a designer, but she also manages a Facebook group, and she's involved in all these like things, especially stuff having to do with women and empowered women and all these things that they want to put men down. No, I'm kidding. No, but she's an empowered woman, and she does a bunch of events. And here pretty soon, next month, we have coverings coming up, and she is actually an influencer that is sponsored by coverings. So, do you mind telling us why we should go to coverings?
Yeah, so Coverings is the largest tile and stone trade show in the US. They have everything that has to do with surfaces that you cover, right? So your tile, countertops, of course, all of your tool people are there. Your
Set of
setting,
materials.
fabricators, all of the things, everyone's there. This year it's super awesome. Tech, the thin set
The
people
company.
are going to be sponsoring CTI tests. So anyone who wants to take their CTI test for free, certified tile installer exam, for free, you guys just need to reach out to Tech or reach out to CTEF to apply for the sponsorship. So that's huge. And then there's a lot of other educational opportunities as well. Attending is free, so you can go there, attend, and do all of the classes and all of the things for free. You just got to pay to get there and pay for your
But
hotel.
is there a limit that you can sign up to go, or you can just literally show up the day off?
You can show up the day of, not an issue. You can register online or register in person. If you go to coverings.com and you register, if you register with my code, that would be great. It's Angie, NTD. And
Do a story and I'll share it after we're done,
for
so that
sure,
people that are here can use your code. And where is it going to be?
it's going to be in Atlanta,
Dates?
Hotlanta. So that'll be a lot of fun. It's the first year that they've done it in Atlanta since 2018. It's my first time in Atlanta, so that'll be fun. And we're doing a lot of awesome things. There's a women's sorry guys that we're doing, kind of like just a safe haven, a safe place to be able to come and do some awesome stuff. Just us girls, and then of course there's a lot of things for everyone. Obviously, Texas Tile Posse and all of the other posses will be having some sort of a happy hour get together situation. So make sure to keep a lookout on all of our stories and social media so that you can attend. And I would just, I would recommend it because it really is for everyone. You learn so much. And I think that education isn't just about your material and isn't just about the installation process, but it's about like the trending things. And a lot of installers are always like, oh, designing isn't that hard. Okay, it's not. Come to Coverings and then learn all of the design trends, and then you can pass that along to your clients, because clients love that. Clients love to hear that their installer or their project manager or their whoever attends these nationally recognized shows and is learning about colors and textures and things like that. And it's obviously it's fun and it's different
Yeah.
and it's really cool experience.
And it's a really huge networking event too, because
Huge.
I remember the first time I attended Coverings in Vegas, I got to meet everyone who I've met on social media before, that we talk, regularly, but never met in person. So I was able to meet everybody there, take pictures with them, exchange stickers. If you haven't, have some stickers made with your logo, and then when you get there, exchange it with your other tile friends that you meet over there. And that way, your sticker is traveling all over the country, and it's pretty cool. Like you just get to meet all these other people who later in life you can ask questions. Like, I mean, because I'm pretty sure we don't know it all. So it happens to me. Sometimes I run into situations where it's like, damn, I really could use another set of eyes, right? So I snap a picture and I send it to like a handful of friends that I have from social media. And then I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? And then I get my answers, and then I make myself a really educated solution. So
Mm-hmm.
but you need these this friendships, right? So it's pretty cool. Like, and then also while you're there, you get to know that there's gonna be like, oh, like a Schluter event after, or Artix is putting this together, and then you go over there, have a few drinks, and talk with other tile people, and it's really really cool. So Atlanta, April 20 what
The
20
21st to the 25th,
yeah.
Monday, Friday,
And
that whole week.
Angelica's gonna be there. I'm gonna be there, and I know a bunch of people that are gonna be there. So if you go, I'm probably gonna be there Monday and Tuesday, and I'm coming back Wednesday. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna be attending on Wednesday or just coming back on Wednesday. But yeah, if you see me, just let's take a picture together, and so I can post it here on Instagram. I don't want to take pictures with Angelica because I already have too many. But if anyone else if anyone else there, so when you're there, you're gonna be doing a bunch of like this little shows or whatever, right? Are those
Yeah,
only
so
for women, or?
No, so there's a panel, a speaking engagement, a panel called Women Talking. And it's a panel of all women, so all women speakers. But I highly encourage all of the men to go and attend. It's a great panel of women within our industry. And I think that it's a great way to be able to kind of a window into the world that we live in within this industry. You know, 95% of people in the construction industry are men. So that doesn't really leave a lot of room for women. And so it's not that we're being naggy and needy and this and that. Like, we just want a seat at the table. You know, we just
Yeah.
want, and there's a lot of times where, you know, we're looking to the installer for help and education. And I think that if we just had, you know, more men realize that we're trying to help our industry and make the jobs easier, and, you know, be able to advocate for you, because at the end of the day, that's all that a lot of designers and female project managers are trying to do,
Yeah.
is, you know, advocate for you. Because if you tell me that you're going to charge me $8,000 for a bathroom, I need to be able to turn around and tell the client that it's worth it because this, and that. So if you're a jerk, I'm going to be like, I don't pay you $8,000, you know, like,
What if I'm a jerk, but I still tell you why you need to pay me $8,000?
yeah, that's why we don't work together, you know, that's why we haven't done any projects together.
See, that's what you get.
Perfect.
You get rain. You get the rain. All right, Angelica. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for everyone who tuned in to Tile Tales Designers. That was the subject and for today. And we thank Angelica for being such an amazing designer. And we hope every other designer watches this episode so they can be as great as you are.
Thank you guys.
All
Thank
right.
you
We'll
for joining.
see you in Atlanta.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.